Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GamerDen Sports Network NFC South Fantasy Football Preview. With you is Rory.
And I'm Nathan.
Our last two videos, we did the NFC and the AFC West. Like I said, today we're going to tackle the NFC South. We're going to start with the Falcons. We're just going to jump into this. Falcons lost disappointingly in the Super Bowl last year.
Shouldn't have, but
choked hard. Poor rip Falcons. But let's start with Matt Ryan. Do you think he's gonna repeat last year, or?
I think he's gonna regress into the Matt Ryan that we know and love. Kind of back down to earth, not outrageous. Almost 5,000 yards last season. Yeah, I think he's gonna be. I think he's still gonna be good. I don't think he's gonna be even a QB5 and under.
Yeah, I don't think last year he was top two. Last year he was a top two QB in fantasy, and I don't think he's gonna do that again this year. He had on 63 deep balls last year, he completed over half of them, and 11 of those 63 went for touchdowns. That is not repeatable. He didn't even throw a pick on any of those 63 attempts. Yeah, there's no way he's going to repeat that. He's going in like the 5th to 8th round of drafts, and I'm not going to touch him that early. Like, that is way too high for me because there's no way he's going to be worth it. Like, he's going with Rodgers and drafts and
60. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to work out for him or for anybody who drafts him.
Didn't he pretty much go undrafted in every league last year?
Yeah, last year is my second quarterback in two quarterback leagues, and he just exploded last year. But I don't think that's going to repeat this year. I mean, it could. I mean, if he drops in drafts, I'm more than willing to take him. I'm going to keep him in our fantasy league, and I drafted him in the 5th round last year in our keeper league. But I'm not expecting him to become anywhere near repeating those numbers. Let's go to receivers. How do you feel about Julio Jones in the 1st round? Are you going to take him over Odell Beckham or anyone?
I'll take him over Odell, but I won't take him over Antonio Brown.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
PPR especially. Even though Julio Jones does get quite a bit of receptions, I got him getting last year. Got 129 targets, 83 receptions. I see the same out of that easily.
Mm-hmm.
He did have 3 or 4 games last season that he only got 4 or 5 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was very inconsistent for a 1st round pick last year.
But only 6 touchdowns, and I see that improving.
Yeah, it's got to improve. He got out of those 129 targets, 15 of those were in the red zone. Everyone, let's see here. Coleman had the same amount of targets as him in the red zone. Freeman, Hardy, and Tammy all had more targets than him in the red zone. Like, that's insane. You have Julio Jones, and you're targeting Hardy in the red zone. Like, come on, like, that's insane.
Yeah,
like, it's got to. Those touchdown numbers have to improve. Like 6 touchdowns for Julio Jones is, but I mean, it keeps happening year after year where he's just disappoints on the touchdowns. But I imagine this year it'll improve.
Yeah, I can't see it not improving. New offensive coordinator, and he even announced that he wanted to target more of Julio Jones in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel any love for Taylor Gabriel or?
I like Taylor Gabriel, but Gabriel, I mean, last year he had an insane catch rate. He caught 35 of his 46 targets. Like that will not keep up this year. He's going to regress, but he should be. I'm gonna guess he's gonna be the number 2 target in that system. I don't see them targeting Sanu as much. Like I think Sanu was a disappointment for him last year, so I think Gabriel could be the number. I mean, it's still going to play. I think Jones and Sanu are still going to be on the outside, but I think Gabriel's going to be that slot guy, and Ryan will target him more in the slot than he will Sanu on the outside.
Yeah. And Hooper, late round quarter or tight end.
Hooper's my boy. If he gets all of Tammy's targets like to himself this year, he's going to be double-digit touchdowns easy.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't target Julio Jones like they have it in the past, it's going to be all Hooper in the red zone.
I'm liking Hooper right now too. He's going 160, so that's 14th, 15th round. At that point, even if you do already have your first tight end, it's not a terrible idea to even grab him. Even if you grab like Gronk or somebody real early, and then want tight end anyways, and then you can plug Gronk or somebody like that into a flex position.
Yeah, he's a great backup. In my leagues, I'm just gonna punt tight end, and Hooper's there in the 14th round or whatever. He's my guy.
Freeman and Coleman.
Yeah, Freeman and Coleman. How do you feel about them this year?
I like Freeman. He's back-to-back years shown that he could outplay or get all the attempts, a lot of the attempts over Coleman. They used them both. But I got Tevin Coleman. He got 7.5% of the time he touched the ball, he got a touchdown. There's no way that's going to happen again.
Yeah, it's insane, right?
I think if you're taking Tevin Coleman right now and he's going in the early 6th.
Yeah, I have him somewhere. He's going late 5th too.
Yeah, so if you're taking him in the 5th, 6th, you're just banking on Freeman either getting hurt or Tevin Coleman getting 11 touchdowns again. I just don't see Coleman getting as many touchdowns.
Yeah, if you're drafting him that early, you're even banking on him getting, especially in a PPR, you're banking on him getting catches. But he only got 31 catches last year. I mean, he missed 4 games last year. But I mean, he still was only averaging of the games he played. He was only averaging like a little under 3 catches a game, which isn't enough to make him worth a late 5th, early 6th round pick, in my opinion. But and my thing with Freeman is, I enjoy handcuffing my running backs. And if you want to handcuff Freeman with Coleman, you're paying way too much.
Yeah, I was just about
to get that backfield.
You're essentially either banking on Freeman getting hurt, or you're just handcuffing to get Freeman and Coleman.
Yeah, I mean, last season in a PPR, it wouldn't have been that bad if you started Freeman and Coleman, but it wouldn't have been great. I mean, Coleman didn't have that very many games where he had more than 3 catches.
Yeah.
But he still scored 11 touchdowns though, which made up for it. But
yeah, I just don't see it happening again. I'm with Freeman just because I could see him easily getting over 1,000 yards again, getting double-digit touchdowns. He's done it 2 years in a row where he's gotten over 1,000 yards, and both times 11 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, I think one thing I like about Freeman is with Sarkisian there now as offensive coordinator. Sarkisian is, while he's been a coach in college, he's primarily been a one running back guy. Like he had Polk at Washington, and then he had Sankey at Washington, and they're just the main guy. Like he didn't have backup running or use 2 running backs, which makes me like Freeman, and that's why I'm down on Coleman, because I think Sarkisian will stick to that somewhat. And if he does, Coleman is way overpriced in drafts right now. If he drops down into like the 7th or 8th round, I'd feel more inclined to take Freeman and Coleman, or just draft Coleman outright. But going in the late 5th, early 6th, I'm not going to touch him.
Yeah.
Anything else on the Falcons?
they're gonna have a pretty good defense again, but I think even
Yeah,
though they choked in the Super Bowl, but
yeah.
that
They
was offense also.
added some draft picks for the defense. McKinley in the first round. Yeah, it should be a solid defense. Yeah, so let's move on to the Panthers. Cam Newton had a really bad year last year. Do you think he improves?
Yeah, I do. I think he doesn't quite get back to 2 years ago when he had the Super Bowl run and outrageous amount of fantasy points. His 2015 season. But he career low in completion percentage last year.
Hmm.
I think career low in yards, or yeah, in career high in interceptions, 14 interceptions, I think.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I see him improving a little bit.
yeah. What scares me about Cam is they're trying. They're gonna. He's not gonna be running as much because of what happened last year with his concussion and everything. But I think that's necessary for his game. I mean, his accuracy was terrible. So you're, as good as Matt Ryan was, that's as bad as Cam Newton was. Cam Newton was 20 out of 71 from on deep passes over 20 yards. Yeah, he threw 4 picks. Only had 750 yards. It's not great. Um, 33.8 accuracy percentage, which is not good. It's pretty bad. But with the change in offensive philosophy, like drafting McCaffrey, they're obviously trying to change the philosophy of having Cam Newton running the football as much, which I think is bad for Cam
Fantasy wise, yeah.
fantasy wise. Yeah. Um, which if Cam has a bad year, McCaffrey probably has a good year. But I think Cam, it's easy to now say, okay, I'm just going to dump it off more and not run it. But Cam Newton's probably been playing professional football for 5 years now,
Hmm.
however long. Uh, he's been playing, going through his first read, then goes to his second read, and then he takes that internal clock. He just takes off running. I don't see that changing. I find it hard for Cam Newton to support Christian McCaffrey in this, like, unless they design runs from McCaffrey. I don't see
Yeah.
McCaffrey having value where he's being drafted in the early third.
Do you see
But
McCaffrey getting a lot of targets out of the backfield, or
no, unless
that's what
like
you're talking about, dumping
yeah,
off?
yeah, like
Unless
I
it's just designed pass plays.
exactly like Devontae Freeman by himself almost had as many targets as the entire Carolina backfield last year. Um, Jonathan Stewart had 16 targets. Fozzie Whitaker had 31 targets, and Tolbert had 15 targets. That's 62 targets right there, and Freeman had 61. So it's the Newton does not dump the ball off, and unless he stops running, which it'll be very hard for him. It's not an easy transition to go from making your first read, making your second read, and running when you're a running quarterback
To
to
dump.
to dumping it off, figuring where your outlet running back is, and dumping it off to him, and that's not good for McCaffrey. But the they drafted him in the first round, so they could
They're gonna
uh,
use them.
you design plays for him, and if they design plays for him, defenses are going to key on that. And I don't think the Panthers receiving core is enough to where if they design plays to McCaffrey, the receivers are good enough to open it up to where they can't key on McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So with Benjamin's their only one. Other than that, it's not pretty there.
So do you think his 93 overall draft pick, average draft pick, is about where he should be?
For Cam,
Yeah.
yeah, what is that, like ninth round?
Yeah, ninth, eighth.
Yeah,
Eighth.
I think that's fair, but I'm not touching him as my QB1. Like right now, he's QB7 off the board, and he will not be my quarterback. So I think it's high, but I wouldn't blame anybody if they think they're like if they think Cam's gonna have a rebound year.
Hmm.
But I think if you think Cam is going to have a rebound year, he has to run, and if he's running, Christian McCaffrey will not make third round value.
Yeah.
So I would not have Cam and McCaffrey on the same team. Is
Hmm.
basically what I'm trying to say. Um,
Uh, you think Tolbert's going to be still in touchdown in or goal line touches from whatever running backs back there at the time?
I don't think Tolbert's on the team anymore. I think he's gone now. I think it's Stewart, McCaffrey, Fozzie, and Artis Payne are the running backs now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it should open up space, but Cam's still there, and if Cam runs, like he's basically just as much of a vulture for running backs
Yeah.
as Tolbert was. But yeah, I don't see any like openings for McCaffrey. Like he's blocked by Cam Newton running. He's blocked by Jonathan Stewart being the starter at the moment for for the foreseeable future. And then you have to worry about Fozzie Whitaker and Cameron Artis Payne taking work too. I just don't see there being any room for McCaffrey unless they design it for him, which is possible.
Yeah, I'm not really willing to take a third round on McCaffrey. That chance of just a rookie, even though he is first round and they are going to use him. Um, I would take him probably early fifth, late fourth if he's
Yeah,
sticking
I would
around.
I would definitely take a risk on him in the fifth. It would be that'd be fine, but third round drafting him as your running back one is insane to me.
Yeah,
He's the 14th running back off the board, and people double up. Yeah, there's no way.
yeah. Uh, any Kevin Benjamin? You like him?
Um, I do not like Benjamin. Like I said, like I think Benjamin relies on the deep ball, and that is just not Cam's. Especially last, like if Cam is able to run and open up space for the defense, then Benjamin will have success. But I don't see their offense trying to have Cam run, so I don't think Benjamin is going to have the openings that he needs to thrive.
I kind of like him as, I mean, 71 overall. That's late six.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean he's a good value at the moment, but
yeah,
I just like as a player, I don't think he's gonna have a good year to where people were drafting him like in the third round. Was that last year or 2 years ago? 2 years ago, right? Because he was hurt last year,
yeah.
or was he
20.
hurt? I
No,
can't.
20 last year he got drafted pretty early.
Yeah, it was last year, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
And
yeah,
I mean, he still had 930 yards, 7 touchdowns. That is fair for where he's getting drafted this year.
hmm
Getting
yeah,
drafted early, it screwed a lot of people over because,
especially in PPR because he only had 63 catches.
yeah.
hmm
And even the year he got 73, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, his rookie season,
hmm
uh, that's still not ex- astounding for PPR. And
Yeah,
that's when Cam Newton had a really good year.
yeah. I mean, with Ted Ginn gone, they should go to should like the offense should funnel through Benjamin as far as receivers go. Like, what do they have? Funchess and
Russell Shepard, and
yeah, they
they
signed
drafted,
Charles Johnson.
yeah,
They drafted they
Curtis
drafted.
Samuel,
Oh yeah,
little
they drafted Samuel. That's right. Yeah,
little smaller, quicker guy.
Mhm. Yeah. You should
With
you should try and uh, work him in the slot, and I think that should open up some room for Benjamin. But
Yeah, with me, it seems like they're trying to make Cam Newton Ben Roethlisberger, kind of make him that pocket passer and make him stay in.
yeah,
And
I'm just afraid that they're gonna do to Newton what they did to Kaepernick in San Francisco, just try and turn him into something that he's not.
yeah,
Um, how do you feel
move
about
on.
Greg Olson?
Ooh, Greg Olson, still going early for me. Just tight end that early. What is he? QB or tight end 4?
Yeah, tight end four, and it looks like he's going in late fourth, early fifth.
Yeah. So I think you're better off probably taking a risk on Jordan Reed than you are Greg Olsen, even though Greg Olsen's performed well pretty much every year for a tight end.
Yeah, he's pretty consistent, and like
Yeah.
in deeper leagues, you probably don't want to touch him because he doesn't really have great upside. But in shallower leagues, you could probably. Or sorry, that's backwards. In shallower leagues, you don't want to touch him because he doesn't have the upside. In deeper leagues, you might want to take a risk on him, drafting him early because he's really consistent.
Yeah.
Um,
I got him 129 targets. That's pretty outstanding for a tight end.
yeah, 80
80
catches.
80 catches and over 1,000 yards. So
Yeah, I mean he's
I could see taking him in the fourth, fifth. I could see it, but I just don't like to. I think there's other value out there that you could get.
yeah, you lose out on taking a wide receiver or running back when you could just take a just as good, just as good tight end, not just as good, but a comparable com- comparable one in later rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's move on to the Saints. Do you think Drew Brees is just going to be Drew Brees this year?
He's definitely gonna. He hasn't ever passed under a 4,000 yard season. I don't believe since he's been with the Saints.
Hmm.
Maybe the one year he was hurt, but always over 4,000 yards. He's got 5,000 yard seasons. Uh, yeah, I don't. They got rid of Cooks, but then got Ted Ginn, so I don't see him doing anything different. Even couple years, I guess that was 2 years ago. I mean, it looked like he had nothing, and he still came back. Like at the start of the season, he looked like his arm was dead, everything. But then he came back and just performed like Drew Brees always does.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I see him spreading the ball around. Uh,
He's going in about the late fourth, early fifth. Would you take him there?
I could see the appeal. QB3 right now.
Hmm. Yeah, QB3.
Yeah, I would take him there if he fell, but I'm not big on quarterbacks. If it was in the
Yeah,
late fifth, I would take him.
yeah. If he falls to a six, I'll probably take him as well. He's just consistent and being through for 5,000 yards last. The touchdowns are kind of down for his amount as for like as much as he threw. He only had 37 touchdowns, which is
Hmm.
kind of odd. I think he could probably get 40 touchdowns this year. Like Michael Thomas, Willie Snead, Ted Ginn. Now I think those are all viable passing options for him, and I think he should do well.
Yeah,
Um, how do you feel about those receivers? Michael Thomas, Snead.
I like I like Michael Thomas. The only downside I could see is Cooks is gone. They're gonna target him now with their number one cornerback,
Hmm. Yeah,
and I could see a little regression, a little sophomore slump kind of deal.
yeah, I can see
Uh,
that too.
but I mean, he looked solid. 92 catches, 1,100 yards, and 9 touchdowns in 15 games. So
Yeah, I really like Michael Thomas because of the amount Breeze targeted him in the red zone. He got 30 targets in the red zone, which is that's a lot of targets. I mean, I think he only got let's see, he got 120 targets total, and 30 of them came in the end zone. A quarter of them came in the end zone. It's a lot.
yeah,
So I think Drew Brees likes targeting him in the end zone. So I think his touchdowns are pretty secure. And even with Cooks there last year, he still got 92 catches for 1,137 yards, which is just nuts. If he's there in the first, like if I'm picking 12th and I'm on a turn, I'm taking Thomas every time if he's there.
yeah. I have him right now at 16. Uh, Wide receiver 7. Would you take him over? Mm, like you wouldn't take him over Evans.
No, I wouldn't take him over Evans. I would might take him over Jordy.
Yeah,
I might take him
I could see that.
over. I'll definitely take him over Dez. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to think of who else goes at the turns, but I think mostly running backs go at the turn. It's all that grouping of running backs. Um, how do you feel about Snead? Snead's going in like the late fifth, early sixth.
I like his value there.
Yeah, I think it's
You
good
know,
value
Drew,
too.
you know Drew Brees is going to spread the ball around, so he's going to get targets. I would take him there easily. Uh,
Yeah, it's a similar thing. Like Cooks was there last year. Cooks got 113 targets. Thomas got 119 targets. Snead got 96 targets. It's all, and like Ginn isn't going to be the volume guy that Cooks is. Like Ginn's going to get targets, but he's not going to get that many targets. And so it's going to spread out to Thomas and Snead. And I don't see why Snead easily can't repeat his 72, 895, like four.
yeah,
He probably should probably even get more touchdowns than he did last year,
yeah.
which I think is puts him as good value as in the sixth round, especially.
You think Ted Ginn's going to get those deep balls
Yeah, Ginn will be.
like a standard plug-in kind of guy, or
Yeah, he'll definitely be in play as a flex every week. Like you could plug him in as a flex, and you wouldn't be able. No one would be like, oh, it's a bad play. Especially in standard. In PPR, it's probably not as great because he's not guaranteed those catches, but he still has tremendous upside each and every week. DFS will have to dick around with trying to figure out if it's again weak or not.
mm-hmm. Uh, Back to Thomas. Would you take him over Freeman? Because Freeman's going 11. Ajayi's going 13.
I like my receivers, so I would definitely take receivers early.
Yeah.
If I was on the turn, I'd probably pair him with a running back, which would be Freeman probably. Um,
No,
but,
yeah.
but yeah, I like Thomas this year. I don't even, I really don't even have a problem with taking Thomas and Snead, just locking up that entire Saints passing game. I think
Yeah.
that's really strong, especially if one of them gets hurt or something. It's gonna open it up. I don't have a problem with that. I did that last year with Thomas and Cooks, and it worked out great.
Yeah. I think 2 years ago, one of my I think I had 5 leagues that year. I looked at it, didn't have anyone on the Saints, Patriots, or Green Bay.
That's rough.
So I was a little worried about it, and needless to say, that league I didn't do too well on. Had to make some few trades, and I think I ended up like 5th, but it was not fun. That
Yeah,
was not a fun league to play.
that is not a fun like realization when you don't have any of the three heavy volume passing teams.
Yeah,
Kobe Fleener.
I
How do you
I
feel about
like
him?
I like him
You
as a
like him?
late round tight end. I
Yeah.
do.
I don't see why not. I mean, last year he didn't do very well, but he still had 80 targets and 50 catches. And again, Cooks is gone, so there's going to be openings. There's going to be probably an extra 40 to 30 to 40 targets up for grabs in the offense. And Fleener should get his. I mean, what hurt Fleener a lot last year was Josh Hill getting targets in the red zone.
Hmm.
That's what hurt Fleener. But yeah, let's move on to the running game. Mark Ingram versus Adrian Peterson. Go.
Yeah, 32 years old, Adrian Peterson. I know he's a stud. Uh, Apparently, right now they're training him as a third down back, kind of passing situations, which he didn't really do for
Yeah,
Minnesota.
not much of a pass catcher in Minnesota.
I I think Mark Ingram's going to start, and if he does good, he's going to continue to start. Adrian Peterson undoubtedly is going to take touches away. There is, but I think Mark Ingram's kind of going to be the face of that backfield until he has a bad game. He'll.
Mm,
I don't think Sean Payton's scared to sit somebody and let
no,
somebody else
I
go.
I think Sean Payton hates Mark Ingram. As soon as first fumble Mark Ingram has, he's going to be on the bench for the rest of that game if Adrian Peterson does. He might be on the rest of the bench for the entire season if Adrian
Yeah.
Peterson does well. Like Sean Payton just hates Mark Ingram. I'm almost more inclined to draft Peterson than Ingram. Because especially with Cadet still there, I think Cadet will probably work into the passing game. If Ingram struggles.
And right now, I have, as far as fantasy football calculator, I have Ingram going after Adrian
Hmm.
Peterson.
Yeah, by about 20 spots.
Yeah, and at that point, if it's for 73rd pick and I'm it, I'll take Mark Ingram and I'll run the risk of.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's totally reasonable. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like whichever one's going later. I like more at that spot. Like,
Yeah, I can't see getting Adrian Peterson as a late fourth because there's no guarantee he's going to start.
mhm,
But I do think he will play. I, I think they're kind of trying to make Adrian Peterson like Hightower, but Hightower
mhm,
got a start over Ingram because Ingram had a bad game.
yeah,
So
that could easily happen again. It looks like it's more likely to happen this year.
yeah,
What I find interesting is on one side, Peterson goes 20 picks ahead of Ingram, and on another side, Ingram goes 20 picks ahead of Peterson. It's really weird,
they
and
just
I
flip
think that
flop.
yeah, it's just how like how wide of a gap people's opinions are on these two. Like no one has a concrete answer for what's going to happen in this backfield, which I think whichever one falls later in your draft, you should target.
Yeah,
Um, Especially if I mean Peterson, if Peterson was 81, pick 81 average on one of these sites, and that's great value in like the seventh round. Uh,
yeah, yeah. It just I think Adrian Peterson's out to prove something still,
mhm.
especially after getting cut from Vikings. But Ingram had his first 1,000 yard rushing season. I don't see why they wouldn't give him a chance again to actually run the ball.
Yeah, and there's so many in a PPR. There's so many targets in this fucking offense. Ingram had 52 targets. Cadet had 50 targets. Hightower had 23 targets. Like
Yeah,
that's almost that's enough work for a receiver in the backfield. Like, that's plenty for in a PPR. I don't see whichever running back is playing is going to have a good season, but you just have to hit which one. And if you can hit on Peterson in the seventh round, if Peterson is Adrian Peterson in the seventh round, you're gonna win your league definitely.
yeah.
Which if I can win a league with the seventh round pick, I'm going to take Adrian Peterson every time.
Shit, even Kuhn had 20 targets.
Yeah, it's insane. It is so insane. Like that entire backfield.
Yeah,
Um,
I like the Saints just because they spread the ball around so much. Uh, it just that backfield kind of scares me right now. But like what you're saying is, whatever one falls further,
mhm,
take them.
yeah, and their defense still. They make any huge improvements to their defense.
No, they did draft a couple, but not.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah,
Drafted cornerback, safety in the first two rounds. Some linebacker. Oh, they spent
they
four
spent
picks
most
on
of
the
them. Huh?
yeah. It could be. It probably won't be improved right away, but it could if they gelled well together, they could improve. But I don't see it improving that much to where the Saints' passing attack is going to dwindle or anything.
No.
Yeah, so let's move on to the Buccaneers. Jameis Winston had a okay year last year. Nothing too crazy, nothing terrible. How do you feel about him?
If he could cut down on his interceptions, get those out, I think he could be really good. Uh, I had him throw 18 last season,
Hmm.
28 touchdowns. That's pretty solid. 4,000 yards. That's all right. I could see him being up there easily top six. I could see him being the 6 overall quarterback if he cuts down on his interceptions, and he he could even run for a couple touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But uh right now he's going. The hell is he going? Let me pull it up. I have him going pick 100
Yeah.
overall.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I like him there. QB 11. I could see him outperforming the QB 11 pretty easily. And
Yeah.
he's got a deep threat now with Deshaun Jackson, and he's
Mm-hmm.
still gonna have Mike Evans there.
Yeah. My problem with him, sort of like with Deshaun Jackson, is the same thing with Cam Newton. He's very inaccurate on his deep ball. He was 22 of 69 with a 6 picks
Yeah,
on passes over 20 yards. It's the same problem I had with Newton on deep balls, but it he didn't have Deshaun Jackson last year, so maybe
yeah.
that's benefits him on the deep ball.
Had
I mean, last year
Humphreys.
he was working with Vincent Jackson, and that's not gonna. And Adam Humphreys, like you're not gonna have very much success on your deep ball if you don't have Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah,
So let's see how that goes. It's interesting. Another problem I have with Winston is I would rather have Philip Rivers or Eli Manning that are going 2 rounds later than him. Like I just
yeah.
don't see.
I
I
like
just
I like Philip Rivers this year.
yeah.
Good offense, everything. So I definitely would probably take. I would take Rivers over Winston, even if
Mhm.
it was the same round.
Exactly. That's the only problem I have with Winston. Like,
Yeah. If it fell to me where I want to take a quarterback this round and it was Winston, Rivers, Eli Manning, I'd take Rivers first. Uh,
yeah, I'd probably even take Eli over him just because that Giants offense is insane. But
yeah.
yeah, how do you feel? Are you Mike Evans? You take him over AJ Green in the first round, and
No, I take AJ Green. I
mhm.
might even be willing to take. I might even be willing to take Hopkins. I think Hopkins is gonna have a little bounce back here,
That's really
but
early on Hopkins.
yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, I could see him. uh, I could see Mike Evans having not as good of a year, but he's done it 2 years in a row. Is the only thing that helps that. I think he's gonna have a decent season, but I would take AJ Green over him easily.
Yeah, Mike Evans had so many targets last year, 168. Has so many targets. It's an insane amount of targets. I don't see that repeating this year with the addition of Jackson. Um, but out of those 168 targets, he only had 96 catches. But he's had it 1321 yards and 12 touchdowns. Those are just insane numbers. Um, I like him. I would probably take him ahead of Odell Beckham personally. That's just because I'm not as high on Beckham this year.
Yeah.
Um,
See, I got him the year before his fresh or rookie season. He had 74 receptions with 1,200 yards. So
mhm,
the only
yeah.
difference is he had double-digit touchdowns last year, 12 touchdowns, and
Mhm.
his rookie campaign he only had 3.
Was he as inconsistent last year as he was the year before? I'm pulling up his stats now. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm trying.
100,
Trying to.
147 targets. So yeah, pretty much exact same.
Yeah, he had 24 targets in the red zone, which
Oh, he did
Cameron.
play 2014 also.
Yeah,
And same thing, about half, about
about half.
45,
Mhm.
45 completion. So I mean, he's done it 3 years in a row, all over 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
So
and
I like him, and I could see him keeping it up and not quite getting the receptions. I could see him getting 130 still.
yeah, yeah. He's a favorite target in the red zone. The only Brait has about the same amount of targets as him in the red zone, but they also dominate the red zone targets.
Yeah.
Um, how do you think Jackson's going to fit into the offense? Do you think he's going to fit in well, or do you think he's going to have a problem with it in this offense?
No, I think he's going to be a decent addition. I think you'll see more completions over 20 yards this season out of Jameis.
Yeah.
Just because he is a deep threat, he's quick. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I think right now that's about what he should be going. 89 overall.
89. Yeah, I was about to talk about that. That's was that like seventh round, eighth round
Yeah, and
between there.
a couple years ago, shit, that would have been really late for him.
Yeah. I am not very high, not too high on him. Like I said, I don't know if Winston can get him the deep ball. If he falls to like the ninth or tenth round, I'll risk it. But I think I'd rather go like other directions at that point. Um, how do you
Yeah,
feel about Humphreys in the slot? Do you think he's still going to get some targets, or
yeah, I do, but I don't think he's going to be much fantasy relevant as far as week to week.
yeah, he's going undrafted in leagues?
Yeah, uh, I think he's just going to be there for the short passes, first down, like 3 yard completion or something like that. I don't think you'll even see much red zone opportunities.
Yeah, me either. I think Bray and the addition of OJ Howard at tight end is with along with Evans, that those three are going to dominate the red zone targets.
Yeah.
Um, do you think OJ Howard and Kevin Bray can coexist, or do you think one's going to overtake the other one?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Great. I think they drafted OJ Howard for like protection more than receiving at first, and then I think OJ Howard's going to be fine receiving. I don't see why you would draft first round and not use him as a
Yeah, that's
receiver.
yeah. But historically, first round or first year tight ends don't do very well, so I wasn't sure if they would try and sit him. But Braid is not a very good block. I think that's why they focused on OJ Howard for his blocking.
Yeah.
Cameron Braid's more like a pass catching tight end, but OJ Howard can do both like easily. So OJ Howard is a guy to watch for the future, but I'm not going to target him this year unless he's your tight end two. If he falls in the draft and he's your second tight end, take a flyer on him, sure.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't target him as my starting tight end.
Yeah. And definitely, I could see him doing something if he doesn't go drafted in your league. If you're in a smaller league, I could see trying to get him on the waiver as soon as possible. If you
Mm-hmm.
lose that first game, go ahead and try getting him,
Yeah,
depending on how he does, especially. Watch
yeah.
that game. But yeah, I'm oh, I'm not very big on either of them just because they're both in.
Yeah, they're gonna suck work from each other, and they're
Yeah,
both gonna lose value. Let's move on to running back. Doug Martin suspended.
three
He's
games as of now.
yeah, I think it's three. He's going in the late fourth to the early sixth. Um, I think he's tremendous value if he's in the fifth and sixth. Like he's on
Yeah,
targeting him in drafts at the moment.
and
Uh, Go
I
ahead.
I I actually think that's gonna his ADP is gonna drop a little bit. I think right now people are just making a point to draft him early. Uh, I like him at that fifth and sixth, but
Yeah.
I could see I I don't see Sims or Rogers being the main running back there. I think once Doug Martin comes back, he's the main running back, no doubt.
Mm,
I think if you could get like even if you miss out on Sims, get like Terrence West or somebody like that. So if you can't, because then Terrence West is going to be starting the first 4 games because of uh, who's that other white or running back on Baltimore right now
um.
that's suspended 4 games.
Oh my God. Why can't I remember his name?
Uh, yeah, I can't either. I'll look it up right now.
Wow, I cannot remember. But yeah, um,
Yeah, I think if you could get somebody that's going to be the starter for 4 games that you think Doug Martin's fine getting in the fifth.
yeah,
Uh,
I like Doug Martin,
Kenneth
and I like.
Kenneth Dixon. Kenneth
Oh
Dixon.
yeah, Kent Dixon. Yeah, yeah. There you go. Thanks. Yeah, I'm not as high on Doug Martin in a PPR. Of like naturally, he only got 16 targets last year. But and Charles Sims is the pass catching back in that offense. This is Jameis Winston kind of reminds me of. I'm not sure if he reminds me of Cam Newton or if he's just not far along enough in his career to do the whole check down thing. Like I still think he's at a point where it's kind of like first read's not there, second read's not there. Okay, I'm gonna run and try and target somebody else, or he just throws it on his first 2 reads,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're covered. Um, he's not targeting his running backs. Like I thought the Panthers were bad at targeting running backs. The Buccaneers are even worse.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not good for a PPR scenario to target this backfield. I wouldn't even touch Sims unless I'm handcuffing him to Martin. Because if Sims emerges as the number 1 running back and gets all the targets, he could return great value for you. But I would definitely handcuff Martin and Sims if I was going to draft Martin.
Yeah. And like I said, even if you miss out on Sims or take, you don't have to take Sims and handcuff him. You could get Terrence West a little earlier, and Terrence West could remain the starter even past 4 games. So then I think Terrence West is a pretty good pickup right now. Later on, if you have like a Doug Martin or somebody you need to fill in for
Mm-hmm.
the first few games.
Yeah.
But
So yeah,
essentially, that's what I'm talking about is just like a handcuff, just not the same team.
yeah, a replacement guy for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Got any other Tampa Bay news?
no, their draft was pretty. They only had 6 picks. And Chris Godwin, the rookie wide receiver, might be able to overtake Humphreys in the slot. Let's see. They could put him on the outside, I guess, if they want to put Deshaun Jackson in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's an interesting target later in drafts. But that's about it. They drafted safety and a linebacker for the defense.
Seemed like this whole draft this year was defense heavy.
Yeah, it was. I think it's just trending like that, just in general. Just I think teams have realized they can pick up running backs and receivers late in drafts, and they're just as good if they target as the ones they target early, and so they just go offensive line, defense heavy in
Yeah,
the first 3 rounds. Um, yeah, so I think that's it
that's all I
for the
got.
NFC South. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good night.
Catch you later.